Ajma'een, just get the microphone. So inshallah today we start a new cluster of surahs. Ibrahim, Al-Hijr, and Nahl. These three together are their own group. After we talked about the Sab' al-Tiwal from Al-Baqarah to Al-Tawbah, and then we talked about the Al-Mi'in, the 4 surahs from Yunus to Al-Ra'd. The Sab' al-Tiwal, they talk about the story of faith and everything that is needed to maintain it, the values, the practices, the laws for success, and the relationships that are required, and the importance of moving as a community and raising awareness. The 4 Mi'in that we did yesterday, the day before, point out the critical parts of faith that are required in order for faith to function within the 4 basic disciplines: creed, the message, the ethics, and the law. The 3 surahs, Ibrahim, Al-Hijr, and Nahl, talk about bounties or blessings. So 3 surahs that are dedicated to talking about this one concept, which is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you in your life that you didn't necessarily ask for, that He just granted you through mere generosity, Jalla Jalaluhu. And each surah looks at the concept of bounty from a different angle. Surah Ibrahim talks about bounty from the angle of showing gratitude. Showing gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the first thing is like this, it's interesting the sequence of the surahs. Meaning, before you acknowledge the ni'mah, before you understand it, just show gratitude. Because the fact that you're breathing and you have the mind to actually understand what gratitude is, then you already owe gratitude. And that is done for the major blessing, which is the removal from dhulumat to an-nur. The major blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala offered humanity is that He removed them from darkness to light. And that's what Surah Ibrahim talks about, the importance of showing gratitude and the major blessing of enlightenment. Surah Al-Hijr talks about the ability to acknowledge blessings. Meaning, and this is a very interesting topic, and I think it was 2 or 3 Ramadans ago, I can't remember exactly which one I did it, but I actually did tafsir of Surah Al-Hijr, and because the concept it talks about is just very, very interesting. It just says the ability to see the blessing. You have to be able to see blessings as blessings. If you can't, then how are you going to be grateful for something you don't even acknowledge to be good? It's impossible. It actually causes you to be disgruntled towards something that is actually an advantage for you. So this is what Surah Al-Hijr talks about, and it's very interesting in its approach to it. So the ability to see the blessing, the ability to acknowledge it. And then Surah Al-Nahl tells you that everything comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The blessings, their source is one. Their source is Allah. And since their source is Allah, you have to use them the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to use them. And that's what these 3 surahs do. They're extremely beautiful, and it's one of my favorite clusters in the Quran. Honestly, these 3 together. You can choose, wallahi, from these 3 surahs any passage, any group of verses, any paragraph, and it's just beautiful. Honestly, you can make any choice you want in all 3 of them. So we're not going to finish Surah Al-Nahl today. We're going to finish it probably tomorrow. And we'll start a new cluster with Surah Al-Isra. So I'll talk about that tomorrow. But let's go through some of the verses, inshallah. You want to start with the first one, ayah 7 of Surah Ibrahim? Just read the first 2 lines, or line, and stop. Just the first couple of words.
وَإِذْ تَأَذَّنَ رَبُّكُمْ لَئِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ وَلَئِن كَفَرْتُمْ إِنَّ عَذَابِي لَشَدِيدٌ.
So immediately in Surah Ibrahim, it's talking about gratitude right off the bat, ayah number 7, right away. A verse that is very unique. You don't really find anything like it in the Quran. That's why it's quoted a lot. وَإِذْ تَأَذَّنَ رَبُّكُمْ. When your Lord made an announcement, تَأَذَّنَ, He made a public announcement that would, meaning a law that will continue to function throughout history with everyone. لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ, if you show gratitude, لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ, I will increase you in the blessings that I give you. وَلَإِن كَفَرْتُمْ, and if you fail to show gratitude, which is the importance of understanding Surah Ibrahim with it. This is where context matters, and this is where understanding the Quran with its context is very important. You see, kufr can be seen as lack of belief or disbelief. But kufr in its essence means for someone to refuse to show loyalty for something good that was done to them. That's what kufr means, meaning you do something nice to me, I refuse to acknowledge the good thing you did for me. I act like you didn't do it, and I will not show you any gratitude or loyalty for it. That's what kufr means. And it turned into disbelief because Allah created you If you decide to say that no, you didn't, and I will not show you, that's full kufr. So that's like the worst case of lack of disloyalty, is saying you didn't do it, and yeah, that's how we understand kufr. So in Surah Ibrahim, the word kufr does not mean disbelief. It means the lack of showing gratitude. That's what it means. So when you read Surah Ibrahim, when he says kufr, that's what he's talking about. So if you don't know that, you will see it as disbelief, and then the whole surah won't really make too much sense to you. Understand what he's talking about. So in shakartum, I will give you more. La azidannakum. Wala in kafartum, if you disbelieve, no, if you don't show gratitude, because that's what the meaning, that's the essence of the word, that's what it means. And then you go through the rest of the Quran, through the rest of the surah, and that's what it's going to mean. And if you pick it out throughout the surah, you find the same meaning, and it actually gives you, the surah actually makes sense. It all comes together when you understand it that way. Wala in kafartum, and if you refuse to show gratitude, inna adhabi lashadid, indeed my punishment will be severe. What's the most, one of the most severe punishments of this is he just doesn't give you anymore. He takes it away. Takes it away. Takes it away. Some things he'll take away you don't even know he took away. Don't even notice. This is how bad this is, how horrible this concept is that you can take it away, you don't even know he took it away. There's a story, I believe it's fully symbolic, I don't think it actually occurred, but I think it's very meaningful, and it's told by, you find it in the books of Tazkiyah, the old ones, where a man would stand and he would say, Ya Rab, I have been sinning for 40 years, and I have yet to find any punishment. Nothing has happened to me. Everything is fine. So where is this? So he hears a voice calling upon him, and he tells him, what do you mean you did not get punished? أَلَمْ أَحْرِمْكَ لَذَّةَ مُنَاجَاتِي مِنْ أَرْبَعِينَ. Have I not deprived you the sweet nectar of calling upon me for the last 40 years? What do you mean I didn't take away? I took away from you the most valuable thing you had. You spoke to me and you found something and the connection was real, and then you refused to show gratitude. I took it away, and ya miskeen, you didn't even notice that you lost the most valuable thing that you had. And this is where this is scary. The hadith has some lack of authenticity, but I have yet to meet a scholar who does not narrate it and use it, where the Prophet ﷺ in his home would see something on the floor, food or a piece of bread or something, and he would call Aisha, and he'd go, Ya Aisha, akrimi jiwara ni'ami rabbik, fa inna ni'mata idha kharajat min dari qawmin qallama ta'ud. That, oh Aisha, be a good host to the blessings of your Lord, because once the blessings leave the house of a group of people, rarely does it ever come back again. It's just something to think about. Let's go to 35, because we're running out of time. Let's do 35. We'll go back if we have time. We won't. We'll act like I like to be optimistic. I'll act like there's going to be hope. Go ahead.
وإذ قال إبراهيم رب اجعل هذا البلد آمنا واجنبني وبني أن نعبد الأصنام.
Allah. These verses at the end of Surah Ibrahim are just, they're just majestic. They're just so classy. It tells you what Ibrahim alayhi salam is saying. This is Ibrahim's dua. You are getting a glimpse into Ibrahim's heart and mind as he makes his own personal dua alayhi salam, right? So it's personal. You would think that this is something Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would keep confidential with Ibrahim. For Ibrahim, he exposes it. This is what Ibrahim subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying. That's why you'll find Alhamdulillahi alladhi wahaba li ala al-kibari Ismaila wa Ishaqa inna rabbi la sami'ud du'a. He's thanking Allah, you gave me Ismail and Ishaq at an older age. I'm so grateful for you that you gave me them, because I didn't have a child and I wanted one. Indeed, you respond to my message. So this is very personal. This is not a dua I can make up in Tarabi. I can't take that one that Ibrahim made and say, Alhamdulillah, alladhi wahaba li ala al-kibari Ismail. That doesn't apply to me. It applies to Ibrahim specifically. So you know this dua is personal. So how does he start it? قال رَبِّ جَعَلْ هَذَا الْبَلَدَ آمِنًا. Make this town, or make this country, or make this area safe. Say Ameen. This is the dua that we can generalize when we make. See, Ibrahim alayhi salam. And this is what I believe. So when you look at philosophers, they talk about their utopia. They talk about what about Ibrahim alayhi salam's utopia and the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam? They had a vision for the future as well. They had a vision of a future that had specific characteristics to it. And one of the most important characteristics that Ibrahim alayhi salam had for his future was a future of safety. اجعل هذا البلد آمنا. May it be safe. May people not be afraid for their lives. May people be able to choose what they want and live the way they will, and believe whatever they want to believe, but be safe. اجعل هذا البلد آمنا. And that's an extreme, and this is twice in the Quran. In Surah Al-Baqarah, I didn't read it then. اجعل هذا بلدا آمنا. And the Prophet ﷺ would talk in his sunnah, like in multiple ahadith, that he dreams of the day where a lady can leave Iraq and go to Hajj on her own without fearing someone kidnapping her on the way. And she goes back again without fear, meaning it's safe. The land is safe and people can move without fearing for their lives or fearing to be harmed. But he would continue and say, وَجُنُوبْنِي وَبَنِيَّ أَن نَعْبُدَ الْأَصْنَامِ. And grant me and my descendants the ability to avoid idols. رَبِّ إِنَّهُنَّ أَضْلَلْنَ كَثِيرًا مِنَ النَّاسِ. Oh my Lord, they have misguided and misled so many people. فَمَنْ تَبِعَنِي فَإِنَّهُ مِنِّي. Those who follow me, they're a part of me. If you follow Ibrahim alayhi salam, then you're a part of his family. He sees you to be a part of him. You may not be related to him through blood, but you're related through him through a much stronger bond, the bond of Tawheed. To Ibrahim alayhi salam, that is the bond. He was taught by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that's the bond that matters. Nuh yesterday was taught, or 2 days ago was taught that bond mattered too. It was much more harsh for Nuh alayhi salam, but that's the bond that matters. Rabbi, فَمَنْ تَبِعَنِي فَإِنَّهُ مِنِّي. Those who follow me, they're a part of me. وَمَنْ عَصَانِي. And those who disobey me. What does he say after that? فَإِنَّكَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. Then you are the most forgiving and the most merciful. May you have forgiveness and mercy upon those who don't listen to me. These are the hearts of the prophets. This is what the prophets say. When you look at Anbiya look for people to find guidance. As long as they do not continue to oppress and transgress against others, a prophet's heart is a heart that wants people to find guidance. And those who didn't find guidance, they ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant them some form of forgiveness or mercy for their mistakes. وَمَنْ عَصَانِي. I love this piece. If you don't look at it, you just keep on going. وَمَنْ عَصَانِي فَإِنَّكَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. Those who follow me, may they be a part of my family, may they come standing by me yawm al-qiyamah. And those who disobey me, may Allah, Ya Rabbi, you are the most forgiving. And you're the most merciful. May you grant them that which they require. Okay. Let's do 33 of Surah Al-Hijr. 33 of Surah Al-Hijr, where? Okay, good. Let's go, 33.
قال لم أكن لأسجد لبشر خلقته من صلصال من حمأ مسنون.
So here's the point of Surah Al-Hijr talks about the importance of acknowledging a blessing, seeing it as a blessing. This happens a lot to us. We're not very good at doing that as human beings. It takes us a long time to look back and say, my difficult childhood was the biggest blessing of my life. It takes time, unfortunately. We can't see it at the time, can't see it right after. It takes a little bit of time for us to see it. But once you see it, you're like, no, that difficulty is what made me who I am today. It allowed me to grow. It allowed me to understand the importance of ease and tenderness. It allowed me to understand I have a good work ethic because of it. I'm much more focused. So difficult things that happen to you in life are even those things, they turn into blessings if you're able to later on acknowledge it. But there are other things that are actually blessings that we still aren't able to see. And the example that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives for that in Surah Al-Hijr are many, but this one here is the most powerful. Iblis, la'natullah alayhi. Iblis, and this is the only time Adam is described that way. He said when he was told, prostrate to Adam, قَالَ لَمْ أَكُلْ لِأَسْجُدَ لِبَشَرٍ. I would never prostrate to a human. خَلَقْتَهُ مِنْ صَلْصَالٍ min hama'im masnoon. You made him from dried clay that has within it rotting water and mud. Hama'im masnoon is rotting water with mud. That's what's on the inside. So on the outside it's dry, and on the inside there's something rotten. He said, what is this? I am made from pure fire. Fire, right? Fire is always impressive. It is. It's just, even as a superpower, totally impressive. Being created from pure fire, he was very impressed with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him. And he was told, prostrate to Adam. Adam hadn't done anything yet. Adam had not proved himself yet. So in Iblis' mind, that he must be for something that is innate about his nature. That's why I have to prostrate to him. So he looked at his nature. So what is this? Dried clay with rotting mud and water on the inside? What a mix. What a joke. It's all mixed. It's rotten on the inside. I'm not prostrating to that. I'm made from fire. He missed the point. Adam's greatness comes from that rotten mud on the inside. Where do you think life comes from? Life comes from a mix of water and soil, and it rots, and it has a bad scent to it. And that's where green things come out. The first green thing that ever came out of the earth came from something that if you smelled it, didn't smell too good. Because it was water and soil that was stuck together for a long time in high temperatures that allowed life to exist. The concept of Adam's life, alayhi salam, this mix that allowed Adam to be who he is. Adam, the unique thing about you is that you're this mix that comes from the soil of the earth. You have the power of life in you, and you have the ruh of Allah, and it's all mixed together. That mix is what makes you interesting. That mix is what makes you different than every other creature. Every other living thing doesn't have that. Malaika, one thing, nur. Iblis and jinn, nar. And then the human being, it's water, it's soil, mixed together until there's some rotting process going on, because that's where life comes from. And then the Spirit of God himself, and then you. So Iblis looked down at Adam for something that was the source of his uniqueness. He just couldn't see it. Iblis couldn't see the uniqueness of Adam through what he came from. He missed obviously he was filled with arrogance, but he missed it. He missed the point. Had Iblis seen that this is the actual source of Adam's greatness, this is where his uniqueness comes from, he wouldn't have looked down at Adam because of it. But he wasn't able to see the blessing. That's why Surah Al-Hijr tells the story. That's why Surah Al-Hijr uses that wording. He thought that was a reason for Adam to be lower and less. No, that's why Adam isn't. That's the uniqueness of Adam. Salsal min hama'im masnoon. On the inside of us, there is life. There's a little bit of rot to it. That nafs has some rot to it, but it's amazing. This nafs is extremely powerful. If you're able to harness its strength, you can do anything. And if you let it run wild, it's rotten. It will rot and rot everything around it. But if you harness that strength, if you can take the motives that you have on the inside, the jealousy, the gluttony, the arrogance, the lust, the greed, and turn it into something that is beautiful and meaningful and classy, then you're unstoppable. If you can turn it into love, if you can turn it into some selflessness, you're unstoppable. Look at the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. Relentless alayhi salatu wasalam. These are relentless. They couldn't understand. Where are you getting all of this energy from? Do you not sleep? Do you not get tired? We have been literally pounding at you and everyone who stands by you for the last 20 years. Will you not give up? No. Abu Sufyan, when he finally came to the Prophet ﷺ, after lying and trying to kill him at least 15 times, he came to him and he had to admit that he lied to him to his face just a week before. And he asked for forgiveness, and the Prophet offered him his forgiveness. And I'm just using this because I told the story yesterday, so you understand. The Prophet ﷺ immediately would say, Ya Abu Sufyan, قُل لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. Say La ilaha illallah, Abu Sufyan. So Abu Sufyan would start to cry. And he would say, Ma awsalak, ma ahlamak. How patient you are. Ma zilta tad'uni ila al-Islam. You're still calling me to Islam. After everything I've done, you still care if I accept Islam or not. Ma ahlamak, ma awsalak. You are so... The Prophet ﷺ beat Abu Sufyan not in war. He beat him with his ethics. He beat him with his kindness, with his love, with this unstoppable force that he had on the inside. That's why he never stopped until he died. Iblis saw the salsal min hama'im masnoon and said, this is beneath me. Little did he know that's where the strength of Adam is going to come from. He couldn't see the blessing Adam. The same surah, I'm just going to jump to it because we're not going to. So in the same surah, it gives a story of Ibrahim. When Ibrahim alayhi salam, they came to him. This is only worded in Surah Al-Hijr this way. For they offered him the good tidings of a son, that you're going to have a son. Ibrahim was in his 90s. Ibrahim was very old. Go meet an 80-year-old or 90 and see if they want another toddler running around. They're okay for maybe half an hour, and then they're like, take your kids. My father, take your kids to Allah ma'ak. Yeah, go home. I did my part. I pulled up with this when I had to. So Ibrahim wasn't. So he heard that you're going to have a son. فقال أبشرتموني على أن مسني الكبر فبما تبشرون. You're giving me this news as I am getting old. What good news are you giving me? قالوا بشرناك بالحق. We actually gave you good news of that which is حق from Allah. فلا تكن من القانطين. Do not be someone who loses hope. So Ibrahim noticed. He was just given news of a blessing, and he was negative about it. It happens to the best of us. That's why the story is in Surah Al-Hijr. And it happens to the best of you. You can fail to see a blessing as a blessing. Even Ibrahim, for a moment there, was told you're going to have a son, and he wasn't too happy about it. And then they told him, this is haqq. Why are you so... قال ومن يقنط من رحمة ربه إلا الضالون. I was wrong. Who is it that loses hope in the mercy of Allah except those who are misguided? And he took it back. Who did he have? Ibrahim alayhi salam. Who did he have? Ishaq, who later had Yaqub, who later had Yusuf, who later from them would come Musa alayhi salam, and Harun, and Dawood, and Sulaiman, and Isa. You're talking about the biblical prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Old Testament, all the prophets of the Old Testament would come from this son that at the moment he heard about him, he was like, I'm too old. And then he's like, oh no, this is a blessing, alhamdulillah. 25 prophets came from this gentleman. Sometimes you fail to see the blessing. You don't see it, so you're not grateful for it, and that's the biggest problem you can have. Okay, I hope that's helpful for you. What are we going to do next? Let's do, can we, what's 54? What's 54? What is 54? Of Hijr? Impossible. Yeah, okay, so let's not do that because we just did that one. So let's do 6 of Surah Al-Nahl then. Let's do 6. Yeah.
ولكم فيها جمال حين تريحون وحين تسرحون.
Yeah. Surah Al-Nahl begins at the first page and a half. All it is just counting blessings. It's honestly one of my favorite surahs in the Quran, Surah Al-Nahl. And that first page and a half is just beautiful. It's just counting one blessing after the other. Allah subhanahu, that's what Surah Al-Nahl says. That blessings, their source, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do not use them. Do not use them for anything else than anything other than what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala designed them to be used for. And in the midst of those verses, he says the following: قَالَ وَلَكُمْ فِيهَا جَمَالٌ حِينَ تُرِيحُونَ وَحِينَ تَسْرَحُونَ. He was talking subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَالْأَنْعَامَ خَلَقَهَا لَكُمْ. And I created livestock for you. Cows and camels and sometimes in these verses, horses can be added to it as conceptually, not for food, but conceptually because they are tamed beasts that that serve you. لَكُمْ فِيهَا دِفْءٌ وَمَنَافِعُ وَمِنْهَا تَأْكُلُونَ. You will use it for it'll keep you warm because you'll wear its skins, and you benefit from it, and you drink from it, and you eat from it. Meaning this is something, it provides you with warmth, it provides you with sustenance and food. You can ride it, it can take you places. But then he says, وَلَكُمْ فِيهَا جَمَالٌ. And you will find within it beauty. One of the blessings is counting, subhanahu wa ta'ala, is that you will find within what I created for you, these animals, you will find beauty. They're beautiful. حِينَ تُرِيحُونَ وَحِينَ تَسْرَحُونَ. When you're taking a rest and you're just looking at them, or you take them out into the prairies for them to eat, and you just observe them. The blessing of beauty that these animals offer. The Quran takes time. In the midst of these ayat, they just talk about all of these blessings. And when you hear them today in Salah, listen to them. They're very powerful ayat. In the midst of them, he just points out the beauty. Do not forget that I made them for you extremely beautiful and majestic. And something that when you look at, it fills your eyes and it fills your heart with love. So look at them. Remember that that's one of the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He beautified His creation for you, so that you can look at it and you have something to reflect upon. He didn't make things subhanahu wa ta'ala ugly. There's a lot of beauty in what He made. There's no ugliness. The ugliness that exists in the world is the ugliness that comes from within, not from without. وَلَكُمْ فِيهَا جَمَالٌ. I love this because it's hidden somewhere in the middle of the verses and we kind of just keep on going. No. Hold on for a second. Absorb the beauty. You ever... I've talked about this a few times before. This is one of the things I do in my spare time. I watch videos of people who are colorblind. I look it up and I wait for the next video to come on. Like I just wait for it. For people who are colorblind and their family bring them glasses that allow them to see color. I do this for a hobby. This is my thing. I have like a playlist of them. Wallahi. Because you'll see people who are 60. I'll never forget this 60-year-old rugged man. Rugged guy. You can see this guy, a lumberjack or something. He looks like he's huge. This guy probably it's obvious. So they bring him these glasses, and he takes them out and he puts them on. And he can't help it. He gets so emotional. He just looks at the sky and he looks at the people with him and say, "This is what you see every day. You see this every day. you get to look up and see this color. Subhanallah. It's just the beauty of the colors that are, we just take it for granted. We don't care. We don't care. There's jamal, there's beauty in it. But we're used to it, so we don't take a moment and absorb it. When you see someone who didn't have the opportunity to absorb it like we did, and then he's given that opportunity, you see what beauty actually does to the human soul. The beauty, he saw the sky before, it was just grayed out a little bit. He's seen a tree, it's just different, it just doesn't have that same texture. But when they see beauty, no matter how old they are, children just start bawling their eyes out. And people in their 60s will start crying. Why? Because the human heart is designed to absorb beauty, to recognize and enjoy beauty. And when you see beauty and you recognize it, it fills your heart and it brings out the passion and the emotion that you have on the inside. But when hearts are ثُمَّ قَسَتْ قُلُوبُكُمْ, and then your hearts are hardened, فَهِيَ كَالْحِجَارَةِ أَوْ أَشَدُّ قَسْوًا, and they turn to rock, or even something that is more solid and hard than rock. وَإِنَّ مِنَ الْحِجَارَةِ لَمَا يَتَفَجَّرُ مِنْهُ الْأَنْهَارُ. But even rocks can explode one day and water can come gushing out of it for the benefit of people. وَإِنَّ مِنْهَا لَمَا يَشَّقَّقُ فَيَخْرُجُ مِنْهُ الْمَاءُ. And some of it will crack and water will come. وَإِنَّ مِنْهَا لَمَا يَهْبِطُ مِنْ خَشْيَةِ اللَّهِ. And some rocks will fall in the reverence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's just something worthy of contemplating. Okay, let's do 51 and 53. Yeah, let's do 51 and 53. Surah Al-Nahl.
وقال الله لا تتخذوا إلهين اثنين إنما هو إله واحد فإياي فارهبون وله ما في السماوات والأرض وله الدين واصبا أفغير الله تتقون.
So he says subhanahu wa ta'ala, لا تتخذوا إلهين اثنين. Don't take two deities or two supreme powers or two gods. إنما هو إله واحد. There's but one God for you to look for. Don't look for two or three or four. It's one. فإياي فارهبون. So show me the reverence that I deserve to be shown. فارهبوني. That's the وله ما في السماوات والأرض. And to him belongs all that within the cosmos and on the earth. وله الدين واصبا. And all religion, its source comes back to him. Whilst all of it together, put all of the religions, that put them together, they all came from him. It all belongs to him. No faith should exist except in him, subhanahu wa ta'ala. أَفَغَيْرَ اللَّهِ تَتَّقُونَ. Is there anyone else besides Allah that you would be aware of or you would be mindful of besides Allah? And then the verse after that, وَمَا بِكُم مِّن نِعْمَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ. وَمَا بِكُم مِّن نِعْمَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ. And any blessing or bounty that you may have, its source is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's hard sometimes in the midst of life to remind ourselves of that. When we become entitled, the focus, what is entitlement? It's just the focus on that which you don't have. That's all entitlement is. Entitlement is just the lack of ability to actually see what you do have, and you're preoccupied, obsessed by the one or two or three things that you don't, that you really want for some reason. And that becomes your obsession. And you become upset because that one or two or three things that you want, you're not getting. And then you fixate on that. And then you get upset, and then you go back and forth in your faith, and then you make dua and it doesn't work out, and you have to speak to somebody, and you have to go find another way to understand your faith, and it just keeps on going because the fixation is on the one thing that you don't have that you want. However, every other blessing that exists in your life comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Before we demand that He gives us blessing number 1,000,003 or whatever the number is, maybe we show enough gratitude to the blessings that He's already given us. Maybe we take some time and acknowledge the ones, we show gratitude, we acknowledge them. We use the continuation of these three surahs in the Quran. We show gratitude, we acknowledge the blessings that we have. Then maybe when we do that, maybe we can turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala somehow and ask for whatever it is that we want that we don't have. وَمَا بِكُم مِّن نِعْمَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ. Any blessing that you have that's bikum, meaning that you are experiencing. Anything that exists sometimes a blessing is not something that you carry in your hand. It's just there, but you just don't have for whatever reason, we just don't have the ability to see. We just forgot about it. This just happens too often. Again, that's why I watch these videos. Because how many of us appreciate color? How many, whatever. No, this is ni'mah. It's from Allah. It's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He could have easily taken it away. He can easily take it away anytime he wants. ثُمَّ إِذَا مَسَّكُمُ الضُّرُّ فَإِلَيْهِ تَجَأَرُونَ. And then when difficulty comes your way, then you turn right to him subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have all these blessings, so we're careless. We have the blessings, we don't care. We keep on going, don't take any time, not going to think about much, not really grateful. And then difficulty comes our way. So we turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Rab, take away the difficulty. ثُمَّ إِذَا كَشَفَ الضُّرَّ عَنْكُمْ. Then he removes the difficulty as you ask. إِذَا فَرِيقٌ مِّنْكُمْ بِرَبِّهِمْ يُشْرِكُونَ. And then you go back to not seeing all the blessings coming from Allah. Again, shirk in Surah Al-Nahl is contextual. It's based on the context of the surah. The surah is talking about blessings. It's talking about seeing blessings from Allah and only from Allah. Shirk in Surah Al-Nahl is not worshipping another deity. It's actually seeing blessings from a different source, or attributing something good you have to someone else besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and being preoccupied of showing them gratitude so that maybe you get more, forgetting that the blessing is not from them. It came through them, granted, but it's not from them. The source is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He just chose a channel so that you may show gratitude to Him and them. And that's the concept that I need to